And now on the line from Florida is Michelle Paisley Reed. Michelle is the best-selling author of 6 books and the TV show host of Don't Change the Channel. She is now partnered with an international company in the success education industry, marketing online motivational courses and live events in the personal development field, which is her passion. She lives in sunny St. Petersburg, Florida, with her loving husband and pets. She loves to travel and she spends most of her time boating or at the beach. Michelle, welcome back to Near FM.
Thank you so much, Darren. Thank you for having me.
Okay, cool. Michelle, this is my 3rd interview with you on Near FM. I last spoke to you on the station just before the COVID pandemic. This may be a big question or may take you a while to answer, but can you reintroduce yourself to our listeners again on Near FM today, Michelle, and tell us how you managed to end up working in the personal development field?
Well, sure, absolutely. So basically, in a nutshell, well, I've always been into personal development. I mean, it's something that I started reading self-help books, when I was about 18 years old. I started with Louise Hay and You Could Heal Your Life and Dr. Wayne Dyer and all those kind of books, and really got into The Secret throughout all my various careers, and I've done a lot of different things. So I was a reporter for a while. I was a news reporter. A long time ago, I was an English major in college, so I always loved to write. And then I kind of went into more metaphysical journey. I had always been really intuitive my entire life, and so I started work as a medium and then a channel for Power of 10 about 10 years ago. And that blew up huge. In the beginning, it was a little scary because I didn't know how people would take it. But I ended up writing, I had already written 3 books of my own. One was a yoga book. I wrote a couple fiction books. But then I channeled the last 3 series of books with the Power of 10, which are basically my spirit guides. That's how I like to explain them. It's nothing too crazy. It's if you know Abraham Hicks, it's similar to that. And it just flew through me. I mean, I wrote 3 #1 international best-selling books in a little over a year. And from there, and it was Manifesting Miracles and Money, Pieces, Power, and Keep Your Spirits Up. And the last one just came out, I think in 2017 or 18. Lose track of time. But they were huge and I loved it. And we went on tour and we were giving workshops, all over the world. We ended up moving from California to Florida where the TV show was being, filmed. We filmed that show. It got picked up by Roku and the first season. So we did a season of them. And then COVID hit. And so when COVID hit, like everybody, it threw us all for a loop, right? I mean, we shut down and it was a struggle because I couldn't do any of our live events. And at the same time, I had some personal issues that went on. I got very sick myself. I'm better now, thank goodness. I had to practice what I preach, but I was very, very sick. And my mother passed away and that was devastating. And so I had a lot of things going on in my own life. And I feel like with COVID, we took a step back to kind of reassess what's important, right? And at least I did. I meditate a lot anyway. I meditate every day. But I'm usually a very active person. I like to work out and I like to hike and do things. And so, I did a lot of walking during COVID. I ended up losing 30 pounds, which was amazing, because I walked so much. But, throughout that time, I was just really kind of diving into more personal development books. I read, I studied, I actually got a health coach certification. So I learned a lot about nutrition, which really helped heal my digestive issues that came about from, I had breast cancer years ago and survived it, but I had a lot of fallout from that. So I learned how to heal my body with good food and exercise and meditation. And So as we started to pull out of COVID and people, were starting to get out and about again, at least in America, I tried to go back into the corporate world, which was a big mistake for me. I just don't fit in. After years of making my own schedule and being able to have the freedom to cook for myself and go to the gym and meditate and be with my friends, it wasn't a good fit. I tried 4 different jobs, and I did relatively well, but I feel like I learned from my guides from the Power of 10 that it's either in alignment with you or not. It's not that anything's bad or good or right or wrong. It's just that it's either in alignment with you or not. And I found a lot of situations of contrast, and I realized, what am I doing here? This is crazy. And I really felt the need. People kept saying, well, why didn't you just pick up Power of 10 and go that direction again? And I could have, but I really felt strongly, and this is from Power of 10 too, that this was my time to show up and have a voice and be authentic. When I'm channeling, it's coming from a much higher place, and it's beautiful, and those words changed my life and thousands of people's lives around the world. I'm still getting all kinds of wonderful mail every day. I love it, about how they've come upon our books, and the books are still there, right? They haven't gone anywhere. They're on Amazon. So, and all the recordings that we did are on YouTube, all the different workshops, we put those out there for free. So that all still exists. I just felt like, okay, I want to do more speaking. I want to do it from being Michelle. And at this stage in my life, I have more confidence to do that. I realized that, when I did my workshops with channeling, I kind of usually talked a little bit in the beginning about my background, but most of it was channeled. And I'm in a whole different, I'm not really there when I'm channeling. I'm just a open channel of letting this, information come through me. And now I do that with my higher self, right? That now I allow the highest and best version of me to come through. So anyway, I was feeling kind of lost after, jumping into these different companies and not knowing which, way to go next. I had some opportunities on TV because I'd been on TV with Home Shopping Network. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's a big company out here. And, but I wasn't really feeling that way either. I'm not much of a TV. Fame was a little overrated for me. I didn't really want to be a big TV personality. That was never my goal in life. And so, one day I was just meditating, and, I went to, something told me to go to this nearby town in Gulfport. It's a very cute little seaside town. It's across the bay from here. It's about 20 minutes away. And I didn't know why, but I know enough to listen to my intuition. So I went there not knowing what I'm doing. Luckily, my husband Joda knows me well enough to let me go and do my thing. So I went there, and it turns out that there was this big psychic fair that was going on. Now, I'm very psychic, but I felt this very huge urge to go to this psychic fair. And so I just followed my intuition. But I wandered around. It was really crowded, and so I wasn't really feeling it. And all of the psychics were taken, like they were booked all day because it's already the afternoon. But then I saw a woman that looked a lot like my best friend who doesn't live here. And she was sitting there by herself, and I approached her, and it turned out she had a cancellation. And I thought, well, that's a sign. So I sat down with her, and I didn't tell her anything about myself, of course. That's how I like to do when I was doing readings. I just like to just feel the energy, and she did too. And I didn't tell her I was looking for career advice or anything like that. And she told me in a nutshell that I was going to meet an Australia woman who was a life coach, and that I would be very successful and happy, and this is going to be a great fit, and yada, yada, yada. So I was like, okay, that's weird. I hadn't even thought about anything like that, and it was so specific. Usually, it's not often that you find psychics that are that specific. And so I went to a coffee shop to just think about it. And it was funny because you know how synchronicities happen and all of a sudden you're in the flow of things and the energy of things. At least that happens to me. And they gave me a free cup of coffee and a Danish for free, which is odd, but I took it. I gratefully. And, I looked on my LinkedIn and I saw this ad from an Australian woman for a life coach, and it said all the things that this psychic had just told me. So I applied, and that night she called me, and I just absolutely, it was, you know, when something's right for you, when, at least for me, when it resonates, I get goosebumps on my entire body. I was listening to her going, yes, 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 this is exactly what I'm looking for. So basically what I do is I'm like we said in the intro, I'm partnered with this international company, and what we do is we market these motivational programs that are very similar to what I was going around the world doing with my workshops. And it's a couple named Shane and Rachel Kreider. The company's called Prosperity of Life. He's from the U.S., from Arizona, and she is from Australia. There's a big contingent that happens to be from Australia, probably because she's from Australia, including my director, my mentor, who has taught me. And so, yeah, they travel the world. They were, before COVID, doing all these live events anywhere from Thailand to Italy. And this year we happen to have one in Miami in October, which is perfect for me. I'm about 3 hours north from there, so I can just drive there. But then in January we have one on the Gold Coast of Australia, and we're going to Cape Town, South Africa in May, which is very exciting. As things start to open up again, we're starting to do more and more live events. But they also do, you know, especially, it was kind of a godsend during COVID because people really learned how to do Zoom, right? I've always done Zoom, but I think that was a challenge for a lot of people. It was scary. And now that everybody knows how to do Zoom, they did all these virtual programs. So now we have the blessing of having both of those available to us. And basically I put ads out there just like I did for my books and products. People think they sell themselves, but, you know, even though I had a publisher with my books, I still had to, you know, do interviews and, you know, advertise and market for them. And so I talk to people every day that's not salesy. I love that. I'm not into hard sales. I believe, as Power of 10 taught me well, that you're either in alignment or you're not, right? So I tell them what we do, and I've talked to the most amazing people. There's an opportunity for huge amounts of abundance. Not that that's the total goal. And by abundance, I don't mean just money. You know, that's opportunity, that's networking, that's support. It's all those wonderful things. For me, it's travel, because I love to travel. And, you know, it really has helped me with my prosperity consciousness, because I've noticed that I still struggle with that. I've made a lot of money and lost a lot of money and made a lot of money again. And I still struggle with that, thinking that it's somehow bad, or that the people they make, but you know, money can do a lot of good. And I found that out the hard way when I got sick. And you know, in the U.S. we have terrible health care, and I cost me an absolute, thank God I had it. I'd probably be dead at this point, to be quite honest. Because I had to pay out of pocket for a lot of things. I didn't have insurance being self-employed. So, you know, there's things that, I found myself, I'm 54 now. I'm not nowhere near retiring. However, I don't really have anything saved. I spent my life savings and trying to be well. And so I want to get to that point where, and this is because I enjoy it so much, I don't even need to retire. I mean, because I take calls on my schedule. So if I need to blank out my schedule, like to do this interview today, I do. If I want to go to the beach, I do. And, you know, it's so great too, because I'm really not much of a morning person. And when I was working corporate, I'd have to get up early, and it's not that I still get up early. I always get up like around 6 a.m, but I like to take my time. I like to sip my coffee, and I have a beautiful view. I like to look out at the bay. I like to pet my pets, my dog and my cat. And I like to meditate and just chill. And then when I'm ready, I shower and get ready and do all the things to get out the door. But I'm not a fan of being in a big rush. And now I can do that. I usually go to the gym in the morning. I'm, again, healthier than I've ever been, which I'm so grateful for. I appreciate it now more than ever after being really sick and almost dying. I'm healthy, and then I can cook from home. I got in the habit of that during COVID rather than going out to eat all the time. And then I take a couple calls, right? And then I talk to people and I'm present for them, and then I look forward to, we do live streams where we have thousands of people from all over the world come on these calls. And today they actually invited me, who I've only been with the company for about 6 weeks. It's been new, but because I've had a lot of success early on, probably because I'm so aligned with it, they asked me to be interviewed by them live in front of thousands of people. In the past, I might have been terrified. But I think all that time spent channeling Power of 10 gave me the self-confidence, the self-worth to be able to just be me and be fully present and like I'm trying to be now. And that used to be really hard for me. And I think that's hard for a lot of people. And I think the more of us that are able to show up and share our stories from the heart, that's powerful. Especially right now. I feel like, I don't know about where you're at in Ireland, but in the U.S., it's so polarized right now. There's so much strife and division. And I'm hoping from that contrast, that we find a way to come together, because the message, really the number one message in all of my books is that we are one. That when you die, your spirit, we're all soul. That our skin doesn't matter, our gender doesn't matter, none of that matters. All these things that we are fighting over still in this day and age is just wild. So I'm hoping, just like I had to get really sick to appreciate my health, I'm hoping that as we get really divided, that eventually we say, as a collective, what are we doing? Let's get together. We're, as human beings on this planet, we're all here to find pleasure and avoid pain or to learn from the suffering. I mean, we all should know that by now. And so that's where I'm at right now. And who's to say I won't ever write a book again? People ask me that constantly, and I'm like, I don't want to right now. I have no desire to. As a writer, you're always gathering. It's like you're in research and development, and I'm still enjoying, being able to go outside and travel a little. I went to Spain, to Barcelona in June to visit my daughter who moved there, and oh my gosh, it was so wonderful. And so I want to just really enjoy my life right now. And when or if I feel called to write another book, I have a wonderful publisher that I work with and a contract, and he's never pressured me, and I love that about him. And so at some point, if I want to go back to that, I absolutely will. But for right now, I'm thrilled about working with this company. I'm learning a lot. I'm a product of our products. I listen to the programs every single day without fail. And I can honestly say it's improving me as a human being. It's helping me. I'm human like everyone else. It's not like I am the power of 10. They're within me, but I still get irritated by certain things in life, and then it brings my vibration down. So I'm learning to not sweat the little things. I'm learning to stand up for myself and have boundaries, which is, as a recovering people pleaser, has been a struggle for me, if I'm honest, but I'm getting better at it. And I'm getting better at waking up really grateful for everything and really happy and being able to keep that vibration throughout my day so that I do attract the good things, so that I do go to coffee shops and they offer me free stuff. That's the fun part, when you can engage with life at that level. And so that's my long-winded answer to your question.
Okay. To have achieved what you have achieved with the Power of 10, Michelle, in terms of your books, videos, and quotes from that material, it's such a fantastic achievement. Like, even if you never wrote another book, what you have achieved is a kind of like a lifetime achievement, I personally love if there was another book or books in the future, but as you said, you don't want to do that now. But you're only 54 years of age, so you aren't an old person. So hopefully, it's in several years' time, maybe you might do another book or something.
You never know. I mean, when I wrote those books, I felt like it was such a magical time. I was so receptive. I woke up every day exactly at 6:00 and I just heard them as if you're talking to me now. I heard them. I'm very clairaudient. So I heard these voices and I felt like I was just in dictation. It was like A Course in Miracles. It just flowed through me. And then when there was the first book and then the second book right after and the third book, and it just all came pouring out, and it was astounding. And then I attracted the right publisher, and then even the editing process was smooth because it came out with hardly needing any grammatical changes, which is highly unusual because even my first 3 books, I'm not perfect. I make grammatical and spelling errors, and that took no time at all. And then they went to #1 right away. So, it's like when people write a #1 movie, and then the people dog the sequel. Those are my legacy. Those books I am so proud of those books. I can't take 100% credit. I was just the receptive party. However, my God, I mean, I still read my own books. I mean, because again, it's channeled through me. And so if I'm going through a tough time or even if I want some inspiration, I just open one of those books and whatever I'm feeling called to. Or lately I've been reading more of the latest book, The Keep Your Spirits Up, because we all keep our spirits up. It's a perfect title. Little did I know that what was to come with COVID right after that book. And so I think that's why it has reached so many people. Of course, it was an intuitive thing. It was timing. I think we needed that. I'm not quite so sure that people would be as receptive to it right now. I think when this all blows over and we can kind of come together, as I mentioned, that maybe more people will be drawn to the materials and in a more organic way, a more vibrational way, rather than me having to go on a big marketing tour. I think that the right people find the books and the materials and the videos at the right time. And when they do, their life changes completely. However, I have found that for a lot of people, it's just over their head. I didn't even realize, I think, until COVID, how much of this information it really resonated with a smaller group of people who are ready for it, because it really is high level information. It gets higher and higher with each book. I mean, Manifesting Miracles and Money was the first one, and that's more of a basic law of attraction type of book. However, when you get into Peace's Power and there's physics in there that, we researched and checked, and it was 100% correct, and I'm no physics major, but it was science. And then with Keep Your Spirits Up, it was just this profound information that I couldn't have known. And so I'm proud of it. And if that kind of spectacular time in my life were to happen again, I would welcome it. And if it didn't, I'm thrilled that it's still finding people wherever they're at. It's not going away. And it's kind of the best of both worlds, right? Because honestly, when I do channel, when I'm on the road, I'm not sure how Esther Hicks does it. She does it nonstop, or other channelers that are out there. But for me, it actually really wore me out, because you're in this really high state in order to receive them. You have to be. A lot of meditation to get to that point, which I can reach because like I said, I meditate every day. However, the crash that comes afterwards for me when you're butting up against real life, it's just, you can't keep that level going consistently. It's like my body would burn out. I couldn't keep it up. And so, and maybe I'll learn to do that. Maybe I'll learn to manage that within my body as I get older. Who knows? But right now, I'm just in a really good place in my life. I'm happy to be healthy. I'm happy to have found this company that I resonate with, that's my own. that because we are our own distributors. My company is called Manifest Well with Michelle. Just go to manifestwellwithmichelle.com to get all the information. But, so it's my own, but I have the support of a big company that I didn't have before. Before it was just Joda and I, my husband, who's working a full-time job, trying to do all the background that it took for like our program that we did called Your Life Repurposed, which is similar to a lot of these programs that my company distributes. But it was just a lot of manpower versus, the company that I work for has a whole team to do this and millions of dollars to spend. And they make, there's one of their partners is a movie producer from LA who does these brilliant documentaries as part of the program. We didn't have the funds to do it at that level. And it really, like I said, to be honest, I'm not sure that's really the direction I wanted to continue going because I don't feel really called to continue to do TV. It was exciting and it was an honor and I had to get over a lot of nerves to be on television. But, I like this where we're talking in this kind of environment. I like radio interviews. I like where I can just talk. I especially like it when it's taped. So when I mess up, you can edit it instead of going live is a little more scary.
I have an interest in the area of development, from personal development, spiritual development, and also community development and international or sustainable development, how the latter is known nowadays. I know you're in the area of personal development, but can you tell me, like, if anyone has listened to us today, to this interview, if they wanted you as their personal development coach or someone to work with, like, what would they expect to kind of happen with you if they're going to link up with you, like,
Sure. So all I do is I'm there for the person, and if they want to do what I'm doing, they, purchase whatever programs that they feel called to purchase. There's a variety of them. They're called Master of Destinies. So there's, I'm blanking on all the names of our programs. Right now I'm doing a Sovereignty Live. There's a foundation program. There's Beyond Freedom Evolution. That's a year-long program. And you listen to them, like I said, you can either watch them, their videos, or you can listen to them. I like to listen, so I go on walks and listen to it. And then you have the support of the entire community. So there's the option to do these live streams where people get on, calls or videos or Zoom calls with people from all over the planet. And we talk about different topics and things come up, and you always have the person that it's not a multi-level marketing group. Sometimes people think it's an MLM. It's not. But the person who enrolled you is there for you. For instance, in my situation, it's my director, Bernie, the Australian woman, who is phenomenal. She's just such a positive presence. So we're not technically life coaching. We're marketing life coaching programs. So I'm not, now Bernie is a certified life coach. I'm not a certified life coach. I've been considering it. But honestly, I feel like I have so many certifications at this point. I really do. And for instance, when I was doing the health coaching program, which I did through the Dr. Sears program, it was a wonderful program, but I feel like when I'm working with people one-on-one, I'm the type of person where I want to empower you to do it, right? But ultimately you have to take the personal responsibility and be accountable to do the work, right? No one can do it for you. You have to be the one. For health coaching, I'm not going to spy on you if you're eating a bunch of cookies. We all have those moments. And yet, if you tell me that you're wanting something, I will help give it to you, but you have to put it into play. So that's what I really like about our programs. It's up to you how much time and effort you want to spend in doing the programs. I love this kind of stuff. Like I said, it's my passion. And so I will take time out of my day to just listen to the programs. I journal. I find out a lot of things about myself. I learn new directions. But this is a platform for your own online entrepreneurship too. So I wouldn't necessarily say it is life coaching. It's kind of in the life coaching vein because you learn so much about life. But I'm not there. I'm not necessarily holding you accountable, if that makes sense, because that to me is more what a life coach does. They are there to make sure that you're accountable for what you say you want to do. But with our programs, it's on you. It's how much you will grow as much as you put into it. And I like that. Even Power of 10's like that. Power of 10 is never, when I was channeling, people would ask questions and they would tell you that's up to you to decide. We all have that power. If you've been on this path long enough, we know our thoughts create our reality. We know that we have the power to manifest whatever we want, but you have to be in that right vibe. And to do that, it doesn't mean you're just happy all the time, but it means you do the work on clearing whatever beliefs that keep you from being your highest and best self, right? So, and that sometimes takes a lifetime. I mean, I'm also working in conjunction. I'm part of this program called the MAP program. It stands for Make Anything Possible. It's separate from my company, but I've been doing it because I feel like I could use that next level of clearing away old beliefs from my childhood, from my past. Now, Power of 10 would say, if you focus only on your blocks, you're going to create more blocks. However, to me, it's finding an awareness. Like I just realized the other day that part of the reason I have problem with money is I have this weird idea about spending it, which is silly. But or when I think about people that have a lot of money, the first person that comes to mind is like a Kim Kardashian. And not that, some people love her or hate her, but to me, it's not who I want to become. But then like I said, there's also for every Kim Kardashian, there's the Warren Buffetts of the world who do a lot to give back. And I want to be in that vein. Or Mackenzie Scott, who was married to Jeff Bezos, who owns, Amazon. And when she divorced him, she spent all her money, giving back to all these charities. Not to say you can't enjoy it too. I love my waterfront house and I wouldn't trade it for the world. But I also feel a big need to help my community and the people around me and to causes that I believe in to better the planet. That's always been where my heart is.
Okay. Is the international company you work with, Michelle, in this area of personal development, an organization that advocates for spirituality in general? And you mentioned a couple of the names of the main programs. Could you kind of mention a couple more of the programs?
Sure. So the company itself is called Prosperity of Life. I'm not a representative for them, so I can't speak for them specifically, right? The owners are Rachel and Shane Kreider. They right now live in Portugal, but they've lived all over the world. They lived in Thailand for a while. They lived in Colorado, I know, for a while, and San Diego, Australia. So they move around a lot. Just because they like to travel and live in different cultures. They have so many programs. I mean, there's the 17-day Prosperity Plus that talks about, again, prosperity really as more a lifestyle, right? And it could include your friends. And, it's really about mindset, right? It's that money is energy, like anything else. It's not evil. It's what helps everyone. And so it helps getting out of a poverty mindset into a prosperity mindset. There's the Beyond Freedom Evolution. There's a variety of their live courses. Like I said, right now I'm listening to Sovereignty. And then there's the Super Saturdays that we have, the events that they tape. And you can either go in person, like I'm attending the one in Miami on October 23rd. We even invite people that aren't part of the company. If they live in the area, if they want to go, they can go free of charge. And it's just an all-day event where Shane is the primary speaker and also Greg Strom, who is that movie producer that I mentioned. He's one of the third partner in the company. And Shane Kreider is just a phenomenal human being. He is, what I like about Shane is that he's very approachable. He's very down to earth, very relatable. I love that about him. So yes, he talks about spirituality, but he talks about real life too. He tells stories. He tells stories from his life. I mean, and he went from, he installed car stereos and making $30,000 a year and was a self-made millionaire before he was 30. So, and he says he wants to be an example for people. And now he shares what he does with his money, because a lot of times people in our company, they make a lot of money. There's a group, they have $50,000 a month club, which is mind blowing. That's more than a lot of people make in a year. But how do you manage that money? About investments and even financial, I don't know any of that stuff. So it's good to know when you're living in this dimension, how you go about that. But, one of the things I learned, let's say in the 17-day Prosperity Plus, course that he had, was he had a section called, collapsing the quantum field. And what that means is when you make a decision, when people get like closed-minded, like this is just the way I am, or this is, and they don't want to learn anything else, you're closing down all the other fields of possibility that exist, rather than being open to the many ways it could come to you, if that makes sense. Now, of course, I'm not saying it as well as Shane does. And he spends a lot of time discussing this. But it's things like that, yes, there's stuff I know, but every time you learn in personal development, you learn it at different stages of your life, and it hits you in a different way. It hits me differently now coming out of COVID than it did beforehand. And some of the ideas are just brand new and mind blowing. And so I listen to those to get in the right vibe in the morning. I sometimes, I'll walk if I'm not going to the gym, and I'll listen to it while I'm walking. And it just gets me into such a great space. And, yes, you can do that. I do it with my programs too. I listen to Power of 10. I listen to Abraham Hicks. I listen to a variety of speakers online. But I don't know. I just gravitate toward Shane's programs because I just like him. I'm looking forward to meeting him in Miami. They're very approachable. In fact, the way we do it is they have a presentation that if people want to get involved, that they attend, and then they'll answer questions. Well, they themselves will get on a Zoom call with people and answer questions, how often do you see heads of humongous $1-million companies making themselves that accessible? I love that they do that for people. I love that they're that approachable. So, and they themselves are part of the program. Rachel, his wife, she was part of this program too, and she became a millionaire in 8 months. 8 months. Before that, she was in a multi-level marketing group. She worked hard for 5 years and just didn't make a lot of money doing it. And so she tried this and put her efforts in and became a millionaire. And then she met Shane. They fell in love, and now they run the company together. So it's just a phenomenal, heartwarming story. I love it. And again, it's not for everyone. You have to be ready for it. But I think that I haven't even gone through all the programs. They give you so much content. And like I said, they're just now starting to do live events. So I haven't been to one yet. My first will be in October in Miami. So I'm really excited about that, to see what the energy feels like in a live atmosphere.
I've been interested in the area of personal development since I was 19. I'm 41 now. I haven't been nice. I haven't been since I was 19. Always interested in it, but like the first kind of it's a mix of spirituality book and development book. It was I believe the first self-help book that really did very well. Scott Peck's The Road Less Travelled. You know that book, yeah?
Yeah.
I read that book, and then I read Gary Zukav, and since then, like, I get most of my information as regards personal and spiritual development from books and the internet as well. But reading books, I was reading books by Barry Long recently, and I think that if you're in the area of personal development, I think you can maybe talk about this, but I think it's very important to get the fundamentals right, because fundamentals, I mean in terms of eating well and not indulging too much in things like alcohol and marijuana. Would you agree with that?
Here's the thing. Everyone's on their own path, right? I think that people have addictions. I think if you have an addictive personality, that's definitely something for you to address. But who am I to say how much is good? I love drinking wine. I'm not an alcoholic. I'll have a glass or two of red wine, and I love it. I'm Italian. I grew up with that. So it's not a bad thing. Some people would think it's bad, but I don't think it's bad. I enjoy it. So, and yes, too much of a good thing. I have a sweet tooth. I love chocolate, and actually my husband Joda has been very instrumental in helping me learn how to savor a good piece of chocolate rather than just when I have a bad day, just wanting to eat a ton of it and shove it down my mouth. That's more emotional eating, which I have struggled with. As far as addictions go, I mean, I could probably go that direction. I love to eat. But I think everybody has to decide for themselves what's good or bad, right or wrong, right? It's how it feels to you. I know people, I've smoked marijuana when I was in high school. The older I got, it didn't feel good to me anymore. But I know really good friends of mine who it helps their anxiety. I've known people who take it for cataracts. I've known people, I use CBD lotion because I have a bad back and it works amazing. It does not get me high. It helps with the inflammation. So, now years ago, people thought CBD was pot. They thought it was the same thing. So as we learn, we realize it's not. And it's a very good medicinal. So Native Americans used it for many years. And so, I've always been very careful about what I tell other people to do. That's why, as far as coaching, if you tell me that you want to achieve something and then you're not doing it, that's different. Then I can say, why aren't you doing it? Because in the big picture of things, this means more to you, right? Like when I had always been really small, and then I had a thyroid problem and I gained a lot of weight and I got really sick, and I'm not used to being that big. And so I wanted to do something about it. So I went on a plan and I followed it. And the days I got off of my plan, I felt terrible. But that was me holding myself accountable. And I think that sometimes people, they just think short term. And that's fine. You can be present. That's different than having longer term goals, like you want to maintain a certain weight or you want to have a certain fitness level. Lately I've lightened up on it because I gained back 10 pounds since I lost my 30, but I work out a lot more. And so I feel better in my body. I'm stronger. And again, from being in a place that I was weak and so sick, the fact that I can lift weights and I can dance and I have my body back it's just a phenomenal feeling. I have more energy. I have more clarity of mind. So, yes, I think we all know that a healthy lifestyle includes eating nutritious food and getting fresh air and being in nature and moving your body, right? That's the basics. But I'm not here to tell people you shouldn't do this. That I don't think anybody responds well to that, right? We're adults. We're not a child. And if someone tells me on the other hand, hey, I've been doing this and it really doesn't feel good, and I'll just be like, I'm so sorry, that's where you're at. If you need anything, I'm here for you. But I think all people ever want is for you to be present with them and understanding and loving and supportive. They don't want to be told what to do. When I was channeling Power of 10, they never, ever told people what to do. They encouraged people, and I learned from this. of what was in their best interests and their soul agreements and what they wanted to achieve in this lifetime, and then encourage them to take the initiative to take action. Because, a lot of people say they want things and then they don't do anything about it. And I know that it can be scary. It was scary when I took this leap into this company, but I felt deep down it was right, and it is right. But I think not everybody, I hear right now especially, there's so much fear in the world. And I get it. I tap into that in moments too. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world with war and all kinds of craziness. But there's always going to be those things, right? It's all dependent on what you focus on. And there's also a lot of good in the world, if you choose to focus on it. It's all about focus. And I have to, again, I'm not perfect at this. There's times I get distracted too, and I have to remind myself what's important today. What is it that you want to do? I keep a journal. I'm like, what are my big goals? What do I want to do in the next year or the next 2 years? What are my intentions? How do I want to show up in the world? I want to be kind and supportive and loving, and also have boundaries, right? Because those are important too. I want to have time to exercise. I like to cook my own foods. I like to be healthy and feel strong. And yes, sometimes I go out to eat too much. Last night we had Thai food. It was delicious, and I ate a ton. I was bloated. But I had a lot of fun doing it. And today I worked out to offset it. So, you gotta live. And everybody's in this journey, and none of us are perfect, and we're all doing our best. And I think that that's the thing to keep in mind, is that everybody in this entire planet is doing the best that they can from the knowledge of where they're at, right? We're all at different levels with that. And it's that acceptance of people doing the best they can. And I'm not going to here to tell people that all drugs are bad and that all alcohol is bad, because I really don't believe that that's true. I think that it depends on the person.
Yeah, it's very profound there. The way you just explained that to me about not judging people. Like, I have read in books over the years the same argument: don't kind of judge, not lest you be judged, kind of thing. But the way you explained,
exactly.
Yeah, but the way you just explained it there, it was kind of deep. Really hit me. Because speaking of alcohol and cannabis, like years ago, I was totally doing them, and I don't do them at all now. But in Ireland, I don't know if it's in America, but in Ireland we have an expression. Well, not everyone uses it. It used to be a kind of young person's expression, but now it's a lot of those young people have got older. But say if someone annoys you, we say they wrecked my head. So years ago, like if anyone, and it did happen occasionally, said to me about drinking too much or smoking hash too much, they just wreck your head. You know what I mean? Like, and it doesn't encourage you to stop doing them. I think it even strengthens your kind of desire for them, I think, because they annoy you so much. But you mentioned there as well about chocolate, eating sweet stuff. I eat a lot of sweet stuff as well. And I heard of a Reiki master years ago, and she's since passed away, but I think her name is Nora O'Neill. She tuned me to Reiki 2, levels 2 and 3, and she said that during one of the Reiki sessions we were going to, that chocolate is actually good for grounding you, and I think it's true. Like, you know what I mean?
Not for me. But again, everyone's different, right? I mean, I get a little high off of sugar. That does not ground me. It makes me like a little spastic. It's like I had coffee or something. But I think everybody reacts differently to it, right? I mean, everybody's different. That's why I'm saying in cut in stone, this is the way it is. I don't think any of us have that. How should I say it? That's not true of anybody. No one has one right answer that works for all 8 billion of us. It doesn't work like that. We're all unique. And we're always changing. What used to work for me doesn't work for me anymore. I mean, even with alcohol, the older I get, the less I can tolerate. When I was younger and in college, I could drink and I would be fine. But now when I drink, if I overindulge, I don't feel good the next day. And I have too much going in my life to want to feel hungover, or I like the term, we don't have that in America, that your head is wrecked. because that is how it feels. It feels like it makes my thinking fuzzy, and I want to be available for opportunities such as this where I can speak and my brain's not fuzzy and I can find the right words to say. And again, there's occasions for that, right? You go to a wedding or something and you have a celebration and you're maybe cheering, doing cheers with champagne. I can barely tolerate champagne. I love champagne, but if I have one glass, I'm just a real big lightweight is what we call it when people can't handle their alcohol. And when I first moved to Florida, it's such a vacation area that we were drinking these fancy drinks called rum runners, and they have a lot of sugar in them. And oh my goodness, you feel like you're on vacation all the time. And then I had to, everybody that has first moved here goes through this stage, and then you're like, no, I can't really be eating out all the time at all these wonderful restaurants and drinking all the time in moderation, right? And everything in life is moderation. Everything in life is moderation. And so you can enjoy those good things, but if it starts making you feel bad, then common sense tells you maybe you shouldn't keep doing it. That's just common sense.
Yeah. That's very deep as well. What you're saying, we're talking about food there. I'm very fortunate that, there are a lot of people in the world today who would pay millions of dollars or euros to have the metabolism I have, because I don't really put on weight. And I mean, I've always been, I don't think I've ever gone over, I'm 6'2", I'm 13.5 stone. I don't think I've ever gone over 13.5 stone. And, I'm actually, it could be an average weight for my height, but I still look slim, and I've always been like that. Let
me tell you.
I do actually eat a good bit of kind of sweet stuff, so there's obviously a danger there. If I kept on doing it, I could get diabetes or something. But as regards putting on weight, my mom has told me, she's seen it over the years. She used to work in a hospital, that someone would be slim and then all of a sudden they get bloated. So that could happen to me at some stage in the future. But the way it is now, I'm 41 and I've never been overweight.
Well, and see, that's a blessing. My husband's the same way. It drives me nuts. He can eat like crazy and he doesn't gain any weight. That's his whole family's like that. And in my family, my sister used to be like that. She could eat whatever she wanted, and then suddenly she got to a certain age and it wasn't the same. However, that's why I think it's important not to eat to be thin, but to eat to be healthy. Right? I mean, I'm 5'2". I'm short. And I have a curvy body type. I always have. That's just my body. I have a butt. And now they're in style, but I think the older I get, the more accepting I am of my body, and that's okay, that yes, I don't need to be the ideal cultural skinny, but I want to be healthy, and as long as I'm within 10 pounds of my ideal goal weight, so what? You know what? In the scheme of things, as long as I'm healthy, that's all that matters. And, the sugar, again, keep it in moderation, because we all know that excessive sugar leads to all kinds of things, from diabetes to, Alzheimer's, they're now linking it to, and all kinds of depression, you name it, bad teeth. So, but then again, I pretty much eat stevia because sugar is hard on my gut, and I still have issues with my teeth. My dad had issues with his teeth, and some of it's genetic, and some of it is, if you read anything about epigenetics, that's a whole other field to talk about, but my point being, you be as healthy as you possibly can be. And I'm looking out the window as I talk to you, and there's 2 awesome dolphins swimming right in front of me. That's kind of awesome. I had to say that.
Okay, Michelle, the program is nearly over on Near FM today. We're talking for nearly an hour. It's great talking to you. Just before you go, in the space of a minute or two, you mentioned you're traveling in October, but do you want to tell us anything more about your plans briefly in the area of personal development? We are less than 3 months away from a new year, 2023.
Yes, that is, wow, that's wild. Yes, we are. So yes, thank you very much for having me. You can find all the information about, my personal development company. It's called manifestwellwithmichelle.com. That's Michelle with 2 L's. And if you want to look into my books, I still have Michelle Paisley Reed is my full author's name, MichellePaisleyReed.com, or you can find all of them under that name on Amazon.com. And yes, for the next Prosperity of Life event that we have going on live is October 23rd in Miami at the Ritz-Carlton in Coconut Grove. And we are going to Australia January 7th. It's Queensland, I believe. And they just announced South Africa, Cape Town, in May, so I'm not sure the specific date of that yet or all the details, but they'll be coming shortly. Lots of travel, which I adore. And like I said, if you want to get in touch with me, if you go to that landing page of manifestwellwithmichelle.com, you just fill out your contact information and I'll give you a call and talk to you on the phone. And I also have a Facebook page, Manifest Well with Michelle, Instagram page, Manifest Well with Michelle. So you can contact me there. I'm back on Facebook. I took a year-long hiatus just because it felt good to kind of take a break from social media for a while. But I'm back again in small doses so I can still be present with my life. And but yeah, reach out to me. You can also, DM me. But all my information are on those websites. And I'd be happy to tell you more about the company and what I'm doing. And who knows if there'll be books in the works and TV shows. One never knows. Just be open to all the good stuff. And I appreciate you letting me talk to you again. It's always a good time. It went by fast.
Okay, Michelle.
So thank you very much. I appreciate
it's great talking to you, Michelle. I'll be talking to you again. Thanks very much.
Okay, thank you. Have a beautiful day.